everybody, what's going on? And welcome back to the weighted return of Going Old School Retro Discussions. This has been a long time in the making, and I really did miss doing the show with all of you people that are in the chat and all the wonderful panelists I have. And coming in tonight on the panel, JJ. What's going on?
What's
JJ?
up, man? What's up, bro?
And we also have our fellow Norwegian.
Hi.
And I see that we already have
I was
people.
told I was going to talk about retro, but all I see is these two old guys.
Yeah, I know. See, we're already talking retro right now as it is. See?
Yep.
Remember.
I beg your pardon, Steve. This picture was taken a little over 20 years ago. I'm not that old. I'm still a youngin'.
My picture was taken a long, long time ago in a galaxy far,
Galaxy
away.
far, far away. Yeah. Got it. Hello there. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
What's up, I seen Miss Martin Muses was in earlier. Mortal Coil was here.
Yeah.
My man Curtis.
Curtis.
YZ. I love Curtis, man. Zacharat 315. Oh, look at this, Lord Runner. What's going on, Runner? So, anyway, guys, it's one of those things that I've been wanting to talk about a lot of these different old franchises, and I wanted to get back into one of these franchises that has actually come up a lot lately in the news because, well, our good friend Cry Boy Smith. So I wanted to talk about the old He-Man, the old Masters of the Universe line. There was something about that old line. There was something that the way it was represented. It was magic. It truly was magic. So I mean, this would have been in the 80s, and this is like the age of the action figure. You know, it was in full swing, and the franchise was actually being dominated in the toy aisles by what toy line, JJ? I know you got to know this one.
Okay. Say that again.
What toy line was dominating the toy aisles in the 80s as far as the action figure?
Oh, man, that was Star Wars, nonetheless.
Exactly.
Star Wars, G.I. Joe.
Well, G.I. Joe didn't come back until 82, around the same time as He-Man did. So, you know, this is the rival that came out of nowhere to battle for that Masters of the toy aisle, if you will. So,
Yeah,
I mean, there was a lot of things that was different about the Masters of the Universe line than there was with the Star Wars line. Now, the Kenner Star Wars line, we all know, was a 3 3/4 inch figure. And because of the way Kenner marketed it, it became the standard for most of the action figure lines that were out there on the shelves. Masters of the Universe came in with these big 5.5 inch figures that were incredibly detailed and muscled out to the max, where most of the other figures, they were pretty straight and narrow looking.
Yeah. I remember those, but I never was a big He-Man fan, but it was unmistakable the significant difference in between the two toy lines.
Steve, you have anything to throw in there?
No, I think He-Man was the first action figure I got when I was a kid. And it was probably due to the fact that we were watching He-Man, the cartoons, right? Because that makes kids want to buy them, you know. I think it was Christmas, maybe 83 or 84. I got He-Man, Skeletor, and Stratos.
Okay, so if you got that in 84, you were extremely lucky because the line actually started in 82. And by 84, He-Man and Skeletor, actually by 83, He-Man and Skeletor were hard to find on the shelves anymore. That was one of the contentions a lot of people had with this line, is that when they went out to go get these figures, they could get everybody else. They could pick up Stratos and Man-at-Arms and Beast-Man and all the other characters that were in Wave 1, but they could almost never find the two that start the franchise, which is He-Man and Skeletor. They were always missing from the shelves.
Not in Norway.
Well, yeah. Well, over here it was. And this is one of the things I'm talking about, the retro re-releases that they have, and that's one of the big key differences between the old Masters of the Universe line and this newer retro line is the market is flooded with He-Man and Skeletor figures this time around.
My birthday is in May.
Mine's next month.
Yeah, I mean, this line was actually created in '81, and it actually didn't hit the toy shelves until '82. And then, of course, we know in '83, Filmation was brought on to create the cartoon, and that's what really created the biggest buzz about this franchise. Now, I wanted to do this. I don't know how many people have actually caught the original ad that they had for the Masters of the Universe, but I want to play that one. Let's take it down nostalgic road, if you will.
Now you can imagine all the power in the universe. The Masters of the Universe collection. 23 pieces, each sold separately. There's He-Man and these heroic action figures. Skeletor and the Warriors of Evil, and 4 fighting creatures. Castle Grayskull, Point Dread, and the Talonfighter. You put them together. And battle machines like the Attack Track, batteries not included. What would you do with all the power in the universe? He-Man, Skeletor, and all other items from the Masters of the Universe collection, each sold separately. From Mattel.
So, I mean, that was one of the early ads that they had out there. I mean, of course, they had a lot crazier ones. They had one that was animated. Have either one of you guys seen that one?
No, I haven't. As a matter of fact, I missed what you just played, but I heard it. I'm like, oh my Lord, I haven't heard this in years. Because I'm pardon me, I'm tweeting this out right now, and yeah, just listening to that alone, I'm like, man, it made me feel like a kid again, because you used to see this stuff on, in commercials and stuff all the time, and just made me realize how old I really am. So thank you, Tommy. I appreciate that.
Always.
I remember one commercial clearly. It was one of the vehicles, and in the commercial, it smashed rocks. It's it looked like a dragon's head. I think it was green, and it moved forward, and then the thing it was on spun around.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, a friend of mine had that, and we tried to smash rocks with it. It doesn't do that. we were pissed. We were gonna have it.
Did you blow it up afterwards? Because that's usually how all your Toy Stories end, that you blew it up with fireworks.
Yeah, that happened a lot. When I was 12, 13, 14 or something, and I got a hold of fireworks, and naturally you want to blow stuff up, and hey, this G.I. Joe tank, that will look great blowing up, right? Or whatever. So yeah, I've blown up a lot of stuff. I regret it now, though.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Brightest Day, what's going on? Thank you for joining us. I see Culture Casino. What's going on?
What's up, Culture?
The Hair Care Masters. What's up, buddy?
You know what a retro baby actually is?
What's that?
Do you know what a retro baby actually is?
Go ahead.
It's an adult.
Okay,
Culture's there. Bone says, I had a bunch of He-Man toys. Manny Faces was one of my favorites.
I had that one. Didn't blow
up. I remember. Why not?
Did you at least throw it in the lake?
No. A friend of mine borrowed all my He-Man toys. He was a couple of years younger, and never seen them since.
Stories by Irish. How you doing? How old school are we going?
Wow.
We're going pretty old school. I mean, I can feel my hip kind of popping a little bit. My back hurts. So yeah, we're going pretty old. Oh, wait a minute. H1 Woo. Tommy the Guinea Pig. What's up, buddy? Slasher. What's going on, Slasher? I don't know if Slasher had gotten the link or not, but LDG. What's up, LDG?
I can make sure he does if that's what you want.
Keck 44. Fenrir Fire. And Bone says, I don't have any of my childhood toys anymore. You know what? I mean, that's one of the things that I haven't lost track of most of them. There are a lot of them that I wound up losing over the years, though. I mean, are there any toys in particular that either one of you guys really miss? And it doesn't necessarily have to be He-Man. It could be any franchise.
Well, I miss personally, you know, if you can't tell by the insignia behind me, I miss my Star Wars toys. I'm talking about back in, 78, 80, 83, and even in the mid to late 90s, when I got into collecting really majorly. I just miss my Star Wars toys, and you know, they're not what they used to be. That's for damn sure. Um, I can't really go much further than that because I started watching. I seen the movie first go around 4 years old. So it's hard for me to really, latch on or remember anything else other than GI Joe or Transformers. It's like the big three of the time. Now I know He-Man was big too, but that just wasn't my thing. But yeah, I miss my Star Wars toys. I can't really go much further than that. How about you, Stig?
Well, I had a lot of stuff, so as I get older, I miss all of it. I had He-Man, GI Joe, Transformers, but I also had some obscure ones that I was asking Tommy about. I can't remember what they were. They were He-Man knockoffs, really. And
yeah. I remember us talking about that quite some time ago, and I wound up giving you the answer,
yeah,
and it is eluding me now.
Oh, Rambo.
And I had the real Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And some Ninja Turtles, but when the Ninja Turtles came out, I was starting to lose interest in action figures, so I didn't have too many of them. I had a couple of Mask figures and cars and stuff, and what else? Brave Star, but I lost interest in those fast because they were too big. They weren't compatible.
Yeah, they were huge. I did find both Brave Star and Tex Hex at the house.
Ooh. Yeah, I had
nice.
I had the guy that you could fill up with water, I think, and he'd squirt water, but it was supposed to be like spit, I think.
Snout Spout?
No, that's a He-Man guy.
Oh, you're talking about from Brave Star.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think he had a red head, and I had the little guy that was driving that little truck.
Yeah.
Diz, was that it? Dizzy? So Fez, I don't know. I had that one.
I get a little sketchy on some of the toys from that line because that line wasn't around very long either.
No.
Shit, I don't even think the
was
cartoon.
Awesome though.
Yeah, but the cartoon only lasted, what was that, a season, maybe 2 at the most?
Yeah.
Stories by Irish says the old Fisher-Price toys, the barn that opened up with the cow sounds, had plastic animals and a farmer. Yep, I remember them. Tonka trucks. I actually found a couple Tonka trucks. Found one of them with the original cardboard packaging too. Captain Trek. What's going on, Captain Trek?
Hey, Captain.
He's the real-life Obi-Wan who lived the way of the Vikings. Check out Steve Kenobi's channel. And if enough people subscribe, he might have to do another top 5.
Yeah, let's hope not. Last one, I actually got an email last week. One of the top 5s had been, YouTube wasn't pleased with it, so it's now age restricted. I must have said something.
Cobra Night Raven.
The Night Raven, yes. This I think the Night Raven was what came after the what was the blue plane that was fashioned after the A-10? The Rattler. The Night Raven, it was black and red, and the pilot looked had like a red outfit on, and it had a detachable smaller ship.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a lot of the GI Joe type vehicles. God, I had the early one. What was the early Jeep that they had out? The one that actually had the gun on top, the gun placement.
The Jeep.
Yeah, the original Jeep. The original Jeep came with that little pilot that had like a little beard or something.
You know what? The only thing I can think of when you mention that is the Warthog from Halo. Man, you're gonna have. My brain ain't working.
Oh, Fender of Fire. Did you have both pieces? Or, yeah, because there were two pieces originally. It was oh God, what was their names? Dark Wing and Dread Wind.
What?
Well, it was two jets that transformed into robots, and one was, I think, was Dread Wind, and the other one was Dark Wing. And they transformed into robots, and then they transformed back into jets. And then you took the two jets and you actually joined them together, and they made an even larger jet, which was called Dread Wing.
Okay, that don't even sound familiar to me.
No, well, that was towards the end of the getting towards the end of the G1 era of Transformers. So
the only thing I'm finding that coming even close is the Doom Buggy, the All Striker.
I don't remember the All Strike. Yeah.
It looked like more like a Doom Buggy instead of a Jeep. It looked like a big old cannon on top of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's been so long since I've seen that toy, and it was one of the few that I don't remember finding when I was over in the house. God, I wish I could.
All right, hang on a second. Let me show you real quick. Screen coming up.
No, it didn't look like that.
Yeah, that's the All Striker. So.
But then again, that's a newer design, right?
No, I think that's you say first gen, like with Scarlet and Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe after that, 83, maybe. So I'm still looking for this Jeep though, because you've got, like I said, you're mentioning it.
It's called the Vamp.
The Vamp.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you could find that and bring that up.
I'm on it.
But what else did everybody have? I see Fire said the All. Yeah.
That's where they got the idea from.
Yeah.
Because the Vamp had the removable gas tanks on it, had the gun on it.
Yep.
That's where they got the idea from. Hang on.
Yeah, I said, I had that one. I had that. That was like the first wave, series that came out in '82. Because all the GI Joes, even though they had the joints at the elbow and of course the shoulder and everything like that, the early ones didn't have that turn at the wrist that the later ones did. If you know what I mean. Like the forearms were very stiff, so they were just stuck in one position. They weren't able to turn. Yeah, so I had one of those. Here we go.
Yeah, because there was a Mark 1 and the town was Mark 2 with the missile launcher on it.
Yep, that's the one I had right there, the first series one.
But now looking at this, now I know where they got the idea for the Warthog. Because the Warthog was similar to this, except you could climb him back and actually use the mounted machine gun off a Halo. So yeah, that makes sense.
Let's see who we got. We got Stories by Irish, the old McDonald toys that were like Transformers but food inspired. Yes, they called them the McChangeables. And I actually got a whole slew of them. I think, I'm not sure, when I went through my dad's house, I don't know if I wound up picking up all the ones that I was missing from my collection. And if I didn't, I'm missing maybe one out of both collections. Like, not all three, but the first two series, because there was actually 3 separate series of those things that came out. but I have just about all of them. Ancient One with a fake super chat, a colossal sized bag of premium carrots and premium lettuce for Tommy, the guinea pig, his wife, and the guinea pig pups so that they can weep in complete happiness. Thank you, buddy. Yes, changeables. I couldn't remember the names. You know what? I mean, and some of those things are actually worth some money now at this point.
Oh, yeah.
You send a
Hey,
reply.
Want to see Ancient One go crazy? Look at this, Ancient One. Look at my profile picture, Ancient One.
Wow.
You know what? Now that you share that bone, I remember that.
It was the black jet, right?
Yeah. It was like kind of like that Blackbird type design.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I do remember that now.
There you go.
I don't know why I was drawing a blank on that. Stigunk, the Avatar squirrel. But now I want to get back to this He-Man thing. There's one thing I want to finish up with that. So, I mean, obviously we know about the Filmation came out in '83, and the line went insanely popular at that point. It was like it was shooting to the stars. They were making so much money off that line. I mean, a lot of the stuff that they were doing was just part swapping, because a lot of the torsos and the legs and the arms were just being intermingled between all these new figures. So they didn't have to do a whole lot of, dye work in order to create new figures. That was the one thing about the Masters of the Universe line that actually made it so successful, is that they didn't have to do any kind of really work to put out new figures. It was just repainting, maybe a new head sculpt, and that was it. So, yeah. I mean, they were doing really well.
Just what they did.
Yeah.
They just repainted parts.
And that's all they needed to do for a lot of it, and it worked. I mean, and they kept going up until it was like around 85 when She-Ra came out. After She-Ra came out, toy sales for Masters of the Universe started dipping. A lot of people say it's because, boys had their sisters playing with a girl version of He-Man, and they didn't feel that they had the power anymore. There's a whole lot of stories of why it failed, but there's no denying the fact that after She-Ra came out, the Masters of the Universe line started to fall apart, and it lost steam. By 86, it was on its way out the door. It was dead. So in 87 is when they actually struck a deal to do the movie, hoping to revive the franchise. And of course, we all know how that went.
I remember. Well, I don't think She-Ra was the problem. I think the last half of the He-Man figures, they just weren't that interesting.
Well, you know what? Here was another problem they had, Steve, is they were out of a lot of different figures to put on the toy shelf. So what they had a lot in production of and left over at the factories was Buzz-Off. So they were shipping tons of Buzz-Off out to all these stores just to fill the shelves. They didn't have an assortment. And I that probably didn't help either, but
that's true. Everyone had Buzz-Off. I remember
that. Out of all the He-Man figures, other than the notable ones, Buzzsaw and Ram Man were the two I remember the most. And to me, I thought Ram Man, I think that's what his name was the dumbest thing I ever seen in my life. Legs wasn't even posable. He just stood there.
Yeah. And after a while, that spring thing in him got broken, so the legs went into the body.
And then, they just got stuck, and you got to yank them back out.
Yeah, but they just wouldn't stick. So I remember mine was basically two shoes sticking out of his crotch.
Hey, Sentinel, what's going on, buddy?
Man, that's a name I ain't seen in a while.
Yeah, so Fenrir Fire said, out of all the recent retro releases, the War for Cybertron line is the most old school. I completely agree with that. Now, I've actually been talking about that quite a bit. And it's not to take anything away from the Masters line. I think they've come really close, but they've kind of missed the mark on a few spots. I would say there's only one line that actually nailed a retro re-release absolutely perfect as far as I could tell, and that's with the real Ghostbusters figures, because they look almost picture perfect to the old ones, the way that they're being done. I mean, they're amazing looking, and they're flying off the shelves still. So they're close to the original toy designs, in my opinion. Unlike how the 3.75 have changed, minus the Star Wars vintage line. Yep. Stories by Irish have a small collection of Star Wars glass cups that were from Burger King. Yes, Burger King did do those. I believe at one time McDonald's had. I don't think they had Star Wars though.
Burger Burger King did, but not toy wise. I don't believe. You know, they had the infamous glasses, the drinking glasses.
Watches. Do you remember the watches during the?
No,
prequels?
I don't.
They had these little metal canisters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember those now. Because I had a couple of them. I didn't have them all. I had a couple of them.
There you go, Steak. I actually found a few of them over the house.
I've never seen those.
Outlets. Yeah, I found one of them. I found one of them. The Sonic Boom. It might. Let's see who else got. Oh. Yes, Hoy. I haven't seen you in a while. What's going on, bud?
Yeah,
Good
same
to
here.
see you. So, what we got? Taco Bell had dope episode 1 posters, and the film came out. Yeah, I remember that. They had a lot of stuff at Taco Bell. Now, I remember, like, when you're talking about that type stuff, there was a 3-restaurant tier of merchandise that was going on, because you had Taco Bell, you had KFC, and you had Pizza Hut. All 3 of them were working together to promote, like, mini toys and everything else for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had the cup. Do you remember, like, Taco Bell had the cups, though? They had the cups with the big, giant figures
The
on
big,
top.
giant toppers on them. Yes.
Yeah, I actually found a few of those, too. Found a few of those. I'm surprised they weren't crushed to oblivion the way he had them packed up in the attic. But, God, they used to make a lot of good stuff back then. Even, like, just from the fast food restaurants, some of the stuff that they used to make.
Yes. And to this day, the most coveted piece of memorabilia I could ever have was I've got 4 of the 5 Empire Strikes Back glasses, and I got 4 of the 5 Return of the Jedi glasses. And these things were, even as a kid, phenomenal looking. The print on the glasses are still in excellent shape. I wish I could have gotten all 5 of them, though, of each. Somewhere along the way, I had one of episode 4 also, but I think it got broke somewhere along the way. That's why I just packed them up after that. Yeah, it was wonderful back then what these restaurants were bringing out. Most of it. All right? Most of it. You know, until... Do they even give out toys anymore? And Happy Meals and stuff like that?
They do, but you just don't see, like, good quality ones for the most part anymore. Like, most of them are pretty cheap. I mean, I would say the last, like, big go that they had as far as toys were concerned at those places was probably... It was either Pokemon or it was during the prequels when they had those little mini figures.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay.
That was the last time I remember decent toys being sold at those type of restaurants, fast food restaurants. Ancient One, it's JJ. That's it. It's not JJ, aka Sith anymore. It's JJ.
Hey, Ancient One. Yeah, you should have my link. I used to be Sith Lord 3827, and then it used to be JJ, also known as Sith Lord 3827, But then I just dropped it. Let's keep it simple. It's JJ now. That's all. But also, I like having fun with it because every time people start complaining about Abrams, I like putting it in the chat. I swear it wasn't me that did it, guys. I promise. It was not me. I have fun with it.
Okay, so you picked the perfect time to stop by because this is the first time I had a chance to do my stream again. This is the first time in over what? God,
almost a year.
Well, I mean, it's not quite a year. I think it's like what is it, like 10 months?
Well, you took off up north when? September last year?
It was September 10th was when I went up north, and I remember I did one retro stream right before I left. So I did it just like a day or two before I left.
So, yeah, it's been almost a year then because at the end of the month. My bad. At the end of the month.
I had the Darth Maul cup topper, and my sister had the Queen Amidala one. They were in the attic somewhere. I found Jar Jar, which, yeah. And then I found Watto. I can't remember if he had a Darth Maul one or not. There was a couple other ones, and I'm just failing to remember what they were. It might have been an Amidala, and it might have been a Maul, too. I can't remember that. But I do remember Watto and freaking Jar Jar. He had like 2 or 3 of the Jar Jar ones. For some reason, my father loved the Jar Jar character. He loved it to death. Oh, Bruce Lombardo.
Hey, Bruce, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Bruce? Oh, well, Gentry. What's up, geezers? What's up, buddy? Yeah, you're in good company.
Hey, Will. Will, I'm sorry, man. I resemble that remark. Getting older every day.
Yeah, what old man stuff are we talking about today? All the old man stuff, man. Everything that we remember when we were younger. Stuff you remember, Will. Because you're right up there with us. Don't try to fake the flake, as they used to say back in the day. The Mickey D's Hot Wheel cars were always good. You know what? Fenrir Fire, that was another thing that I found over the house, and I think the early McDonald's Hot Wheel cars that they had were pretty decent, but later on, they got really cheap because they were like just the cheap 100% plastic ones. But yeah, if you got some of the early McDonald's Hot Wheel cars, they were pretty spot on because they were just like getting the regular collectibles from the store. The gold-plated Pokemon cards, yep. When they first came out, yeah. My daughter, both my daughters was heavily into Pokemon, so I used to go out trying to pick up all those Pokeballs with the little figures inside them. So, God, I can't even tell you how many times I went out to Burger King and I was eating like multiple Happy Meals just to get them their stupid toys. I mean, and then later on, because I thought that when you wanted to get a Happy Meal toy that you actually had to purchase the Happy Meal or the kids meal, as it were, for Burger King. I didn't realize that if you purchased a regular sandwich that you could just buy the toys separately. So, I was purchasing all these Happy Meals trying to get them toys without even thinking about it because I just didn't think about it at the time. Yeah, the quality for the kids' toys are weak. Yeah, they are. Now they are. Michael Pratt, what's going on, man? Long time no see. I think people like Final Fantasy characters over Nintendo characters. Yeah, I suppose so. Great subject for today. Oh, yeah, well, JJ's still got his own subject, too. We're just, like, rolling down the end of his Masters. Now, before we end out with the Masters, is anybody else in the chat have anything to add on the original Masters of the Universe line? Did you have a favorite figure from that line? Is there a figure that you still have from that line? Let us know what you think and what you had.
My favorite was always Stratos and Hordak for some reason. Don't know why. Just Stratos had a jetpack, I assume.
Well, he had like the he had the feathers on his arms. I can't remember if he had a jetpack too, but
yeah, he did.
Because he did have like that goggle like hood thing over his face.
Yeah, the harness that he's wearing had a jetpack on the back.
The original Star Wars lunchbox and 6 original comics.
Yep.
Disintegrated. I had a couple of those original lunch boxes. I had the first one with which later became A New Hope. It was just Star Wars back in the day, and then I had the Empire Strikes Back. Now I did not have the Return of the Jedi one though. I had a Dukes of Hazzard one though. I think I am just about caught up on the chat. Hot Wheels are a great toy. Oh, Jens, Petter, what's going on, Jens?
How you doing, Jens?
Once you end the live stream for the day, do you wish to raid someone with the hashtag? I'm not sure. I mean, it's possible. I don't know who's going. Jens, the best thing about He-Man toys I liked was putting He-Man on the Battle Cat set for action.
Yeah. Of course.
Stratus always fucked with Evil Lynn. Anyone remember the unarticulated Dragon Ball Z figures from Burger King? They were copper or silver colored. My brother had a few of them. I was never much into Dragon Ball Z. I was a little bit older by the time they came out, so it really wasn't something I watched. I blame Pikachu. But yeah, I mean, I think as far as like He-Man is concerned, I think it was one of those things that it has stood the test of time, because look how pissed off people have gotten with these new iterations of what they're doing with Masters of the Universe, especially in the way of the cartoon. I mean, it got to the point that Netflix actually got embarrassed about it, but I mean, you look back at that original show. I mean, yeah, the original show was made for those toys. It was made to sell them, but they had
Right.
a lot of good messaging in it. It's something that you don't see in a lot of shows today. They had good messaging. Yeah, okay, some of the plots were kind of weak. I mean, it was a kid's cartoon, so. But I think the messaging behind it actually made it more than worthwhile to actually enjoy those things. I mean,
Well, as we've been finding out these past few months, the messaging has been lost. Now we're incorporating the CRT, and it's completely sad because, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tommy, but isn't that the point of retro discussions?
yep.
Talking about when stuff was still great, there was still meaning behind it, still feeling behind it, instead of, oh, this is how you should be living. These shows, whether it was He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Thundercats, these shows that try to teach lessons, to try to help our young, because, thank Whitney Houston for this, but the children are our future, and they still are and they still are today. But the lessons are being lost in translation, and it's completely sad. That's why I don't mind having these discussions, because since your absence, I've tried to keep it up to some extent, not as entailed. I like talking about old stuff. Me and Slasher sit many nights, man, just hanging out, watching videos, watching movies, TV, whatever, old stuff. Because we've been keeping up basically the retro discussion while you were away, and we've been waiting for a while to do this. And speaking of which, real quick, Slasher said he'll be up when he's done eating dinner.
Okay. Steve, any last thoughts on that?
No. I've actually been doing much the same as JJ though. I was brainstorming a bit about a month ago, and I realized, a lot of TV shows and movies that are, that you're kind of looking forward to, and then they turn out to be, woke dribble. I figured instead of watching those, right, I'll turn it to something positive, and I'll, instead of watching the new Suicide Squad and Black Widow, I watched 2 80s movies that I hadn't seen before instead. So, which
ones?
I watched. I had seen this one before actually. I rewatched Southern Comfort
Okay.
Yeah, it's
with
been a long time since I've seen
Keith
that.
Carradine and Powers Booth.
If I remember correctly, they were National Guardsmen out on exercises down in the swamps of like Louisiana or something.
Yeah, they ran afoul of the Cajuns. They started hunting them. Actually, a damn good thriller. And the other one I watched was well, that's not an '80s movie. So I watched Them, the giant ant movie from the '50s.
Yeah.
Mm.
I loved it. Had a blast.
Oh,
So I'm gonna be doing that. Every time Hollywood releases another woke movie, I'll be watching an old one that I haven't seen before. So
we got another guest joining us. Jens better.
Jens.
What's going on?
Yeah, hey, sorry, yeah, Dick. Yeah. What? Just talk about E-Man Blink. I could forever, but yeah, just love the E-Man titles. As JJ was saying, yeah, the cartoons had that message where it was like, right, going around punching people is okay for He-Man, but he needs a reason to. Going around punching people for no reason is not what He-Man is. It was that sort of man, like, yeah, right, yeah. Hello, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. We hear you. Yeah.
I mean, you're breaking up a little bit here and there, but I mean,
yeah.
It definitely did have the messaging in it. It definitely had the messaging that was. It was not only inspirational, but it was something that like a parent could feel good about putting their child in front of the TV to watch. It just wasn't just like a standard toy commercial. It actually had some decent messaging for a kid. So
Yeah.
So your kid is sitting there watching it and getting interested in the toys, but at the very least, they're learning a decent message and they're learning something about life from a freaking cartoon, which you can't even get that nowadays. If you're going on Twitter or someplace else, because some of the trash that people say. I mean. As anyone that doesn't know, YouTube itself has a free movie channel that updates usually around 400 movies. Yep. Watching old movies together. I mean, yeah, that's one of the things, though. I mean, you can go back to the old stuff. Like, if you're sitting here looking at some of this new stuff and you're just not feeling it, going back and watching some of the old stuff, especially if you could do it on a streaming service, to let companies like Hulu, Netflix, any of these companies, Disney, let them know that you're not interested in some of this newer stuff that they're doing so wrong. Let them see the stuff that you're interested in, the stuff that from back then, the stuff that was done right, the stuff that had heart, the stuff that had feeling, the something that meant something to a lot of people. Show them that that's what you want to see. Whether or not they're going to pay attention, well, that's that's always a bit of the conundrum.
Well, the thing is, though, it's not going to improve because the people who make hundreds of videos criticizing this shit also make 100 videos about basically promoting the shit they don't want.
Yeah, and that's some of the biggest things I have arguments with. You hear everybody bashing. I'm going to use Disney for the example. Everybody's bashing Disney, but they're talking about, oh, we're going to go do this, we're going to go do that, we're going to watch this, you're going to watch that. You're promoting exactly what you're arguing about, and it makes no sense.
Yeah, and you only need to look back to last year when everyone lost their shit about the cuties stuff on Netflix. Like, oh, everyone should boycott Netflix. I'm boycotting Netflix. I'm such a great person. 2 months later, come watch our stream where we do an episode by episode discussion about Netflix's Cobra Kai.
Yep.
Right.
Bone,
The boycott lasted for 2 months at the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, apparently.
Bone says, I just watched the Suicide Squad and it was good. 7.9 out of 10 for me. Go ahead, Jens.
Yeah, I heard like Netflix, they lost like 400,000 subscribers, which is nothing to like Netflix. It is like over Bro.
Uh-oh. Yeah, it
Whoops.
sounded like he was breaking up a bit.
And he does normally during a stream. Now, when we're just hanging out, he's loud and clear.
Well, I've been on a few of his streams where he was actually clear on his end, and he was actually hosting the stream. And then other times, yeah, it's like that. It's like he's having a hard time connecting, and it's a shame. Yeah, as far as I would like to stay, I need to go. You're still live. Okay, no problem, Ancient One. Thank you for being here.
Take care, man.
I watched the Suicide. I don't want to get into it too much because I want to talk about a lot of the older stuff. But I watched Suicide Squad. I didn't have that much of a problem with it. It really wasn't that bad. It really wasn't that bad as far as I was concerned. And
thanks to Slasher, we watched that shit last night. And all right, now mind you, I'm not a big DC. I'm not a book person. I don't know a lot about this stuff. Going even way back when every week or every month you go into the store, you buy the new issue that's coming out of whatever. I know a little bit about certain characters, but not a lot. But Slasher forced me to watch it sort of kind of last night, and I'm sitting there thinking, 2 hours and 16 minutes. Is it over yet? Is it over yet? The only part of it I liked was Harley. I thought Harley was a good representation. That's the first time I've ever seen anything with Harley in it. But you don't ask me about anything about the original Suicide Squad. I didn't even know it existed up until a few years ago. When the Will Smith version came out. I'm not going to say disappointed, but I expected a lot more. And that's usually what goes on with today's entertainment. And that's why me and Slasher got together and we started talking about it. That's what we're doing when we do our random movie reviews. We're doing old school movies, back when stuff was still great or even acceptable at that point. Stuff that you would not dare see today. We just recently finished Clint Eastwood's Firefox, which I love that movie. He was a little bit on the fence about it, but it's okay. We even did the Dolph Lundgren Masters of the Universe and ragged the hell out of it. Mm-hmm. Just because it was fun to do so. We got Gwildor, which was supposed to be Orko.
I remember being there for that one, JJ, and because I refused to watch it again with you guys. I'll come in and talk about it, but I didn't want to watch it again. I hated it that much, and I didn't watch it. I hadn't watched that thing since probably 1990 something, like the last time I'd ever seen it when it was on regular TV. Mm-hmm. And that was the last time I watched it. And I didn't want to watch it again.
And Billy Barty playing that part could have played a perfect Orko if they'd have just shaved him and put his hat on. He had the pointy ears. Granted, yeah, he was the wrong color, but still, he could have played a perfect Orko, but they didn't want to go that route.
Well, they were trying to claim that there was going to be money issues as far as doing effects and everything that had somebody do Orko, and it was just nonsense. They just wanted to put out some different toys, and I don't even think it really was the toys. I think that they handed so much control over to the studio that the studio pretty much just did what they wanted, and those were the characters they got instead of the characters that we deserved.
True, very true. Welcome back, Jens.
Yeah. Sticking that, yeah. Hello, JJ. Looking at a bit He-Man, but I liked it though. That was a good film, but just not a good He-Man film. Because as you said, it didn't over that window.
Are you sitting close to your window, Jens?
Try and get. Is that better?
We'll have to wait and see.
Bruce says the bucket of KFC has the best character arc in 1987 Moto. The
Master of the Universe. Yeah.
The bucket of KFC.
Imagine that. Imagine that. KFC.
Oh, that's terrible. Get him a Pringles Cantina.
Cantina. Oh my lord. Damn, Bruce. Oh, that's funny as shit. But yeah, I can't really, other than what little bit I do know, I can't speak on Masters of the Universe too much because, like I said, it really wasn't my thing back when I was younger. I gravitated more towards, the G.I. Joe, the Thundercats, Mask, Silverhawks, stuff like that. He-Man just didn't grab it for me, and I don't know why. I'm not dogging it by any means. I've seen a few episodes, but it just didn't catch like it did with most people.
Well, I think the reason it caught a lot of people is because it had that very Conan the Barbarian feel to it. Not only the Conan the Barbarian, but it also had that same like the Frank Frazetta feeling. Because Frank Frazetta was pretty big back then, with all the drawings that he was doing. So I think it also captured that. And because it was so different, because everything was sci-fi at that point. Everything was Star Wars. Everything was Battlestar Galactica. Star Trek was starting to make all the reruns, on TV. I mean, and they were getting ready to work. They were working their way towards making the next generation. Everything was sci-fi. So He-Man was something that, while it had a little bit of like the space element to it, it was more fantasy driven, like the warrior, the barbarian. That's what it was actually. It was so much different. That's why a lot of people gravitated towards it, I think.
Yeah, a space comic.
It was all like cool and all. Like I was at the right age because I was like 9, 10 sort of when it came out. So I was like, I wanted to see some action at, but obviously the parents and I didn't want to see like crazy action in that. So He-Man was like great because it was sort of like, can you say, space, barbarian, like for kids.
Yeah.
And the toy store, it had that punchy.
Oh God, you're really breaking up bad again, Jens. Tracker's going to lead the mission. Spectre. Are you singing the song, Will?
Why not, man? It's an awesome song.
Okay, I got to go. Getting kiddos ready for bed. Have a good one. Take care of Stories by Ours. Thank you for stopping by, honey. Be well.
Yep. Have a good night. Thank you.
Huh? I know. It's the long distance connection. That's what it is. And he's trying to connect all the way from over in the UK to here. So he's going to be a little bit weird.
I've got some of my bars awful. I was something.
All right. Well, we're going to move on from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. JJ, you said you actually had something that you wanted to discuss tonight.
Actually, I do, but let's move around to Steve. He seems to be your guest for the night.
Okay.
Let's see what he has to bring. With Stig, it's always something quite entertaining.
Well, I don't know. I like all of it. I can talk about all of it all day, really. What's on the menu, though?
Well, here I got something for you, Steve. Maybe you can delve into this one. Do you remember the 1977 Rankin Bass The Hobbit cartoon?
Yes,
I do.
there's a lot of singing in it. Hell of a lot of singing in it. Very retro art style, but I seem to remember it stuck to the book quite well. Well, I have fond memories of it, but I'm not sure if it had aged well. You know, I don't know.
I don't know. Me personally, I preferred that art style, and I know when they wound up doing the Lord of the Rings trilogy set, they had Disney actually come in for the first 2 parts, and then Rankin Bass came back and did the 3rd part, which was the Return of the King. I personally liked the cartoon version of Return of the King better than I liked the first 2 parts of the Lord of the Rings, which was the Fellowship and
The Two Towers.
The Two Towers. I personally like Return of the King better. What were you going to say, JJ?
No, I was just you talking about Lord of the Ring, the Lord of the Rings, or did you start off with
Well,
the Hobbit?
I started with the Hobbit, but
Yeah, because I just
that.
watched that about a month and a half ago, and it brought back a lot of great memories from when I was a kid. But as I was watching it, it only had 2 of the 3 parts, and I'm like, okay, all right, because it ended pretty much when they killed Smog, however you want to pronounce it, the dragon.
Smog.
And I forgot how much I enjoyed it. Now, don't get me wrong. I like the 6 movies, but seeing something like that ain't no different than I'm gonna stray off course just a hair. Back in the day, it was a short little TV movie they used to show every once upon a time called Ricky Tikki Tavi.
Yes, I used to love. Actually did a review on my channel about that one because it seemed like a lot of people didn't know about it.
Yeah,
I loved that cartoon when I was a kid. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it was like the ferret and the snake.
Mongoose. Yes.
Mongoose. Yeah, mongoose and yeah. Because I watched it because you did a thingy and you left a link in one of your chat things. Yeah, good film.
Yeah, it was one of them things, man. The Hobbit, Ricky Tikki Tavi, the original Charlotte's Web. Like I said, back when stuff was still great, and it's sorely missed today, man. And it's a shame we'll never get back to that. I honestly don't believe we will. Where things were done in great quality. Everything's too CGI'd up today. This is everything you watched back then, hand drawn and done by hand the way comics and cartoons used to be. It just showed the type of work that went into productions of this type, no matter how long or how short they were. Because I don't know about everybody else, man. I can go look at old school cartoons all day long and enjoy them far more than anything we see today because everything's too computer generated.
Well, you know what,
JJ?
Just to add into what you're saying there, I think the biggest difference between a lot of these cartoons that we're seeing today and the way they're being redone and the way they were done back then was the fact that these people that were working on them back then had a love for the franchises. Now, maybe that love didn't start off initially at first, but I think that love for that franchise evolved over time as they were working on these cartoons, the comics, and the toy lines themselves. There was a certain amount of joy that they had creating those things, where most of these people creating these newer reboots and iterations of them, they seem to be joyless. They seem to be hollow. It seems to be lacking anything that would make somebody want to latch onto that franchise.
That's really simple. It's lacking one word: love.
Soul. Well, soul.
Love, soul. Yeah, that too. You know, the guys that did this back in the day loved what they did. They did it because they loved it, not because it was a job. Now it's all about the, you know, for a lack of a better term, you know, the great American dollar, you know, which ain't worth that much anymore, honestly, compared to what it used to be.
Son of a red shirt, hello there. That it showed up in your recommended, and you know that's awesome. Thank you for coming by, and I hope you enjoyed the discussion. And yeah, that the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, I still rank them really high myself as opposed to the movies, just because that takes me back to my childhood. And I think that's one thing a lot of us can agree on when we're looking back on some of these older franchises. It's not to say that some of the newer stuff can't be good, because I'm sure for a lot of people, The Lord of the Rings is amazing. I could never get into it because I grew up with the cartoons. I was so accustomed to how the story flowed in the cartoons that it's harder for me to watch some of these newer things because it doesn't seem to have the same mysticism over me that the older things did from when I was a kid, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it makes all the sense in the world.
Well, I was going to do a number two to Lord of the Rings of the cartoon, but the geezer who drew the pictures died, did he? Halfway through, I think, or just started, so they had to cancel it.
And it's a shame. You know what though? Here's one thing though. I want to preface this on everybody. We can never lose hope though that some of these franchises may never come back to us. I will state though, I don't want to go deep in it because that's really not why I'm here to do this stream. But I will state, as far as Disney is concerned and their mishandling of Star Wars franchise, I have lost all hope that Disney can ever salvage that franchise. I know JJ, I know you watch Bad Batch and you're
Well, I watch it all, but you know, even I know that it's not once as great as it used to be. You know, I'm not arguing that fact. You know, I still watch it because I enjoy the franchise, but you know, when I start sitting back and doing the trigonometry of an episode, it's because there's something really, really wrong with it. But I still enjoy it. You know, that's one IP I will always go back to, no matter how old or how new it is, because, and I believe so today. You know, as far as the Disney side of the franchise now, The Mandalorian is the best thing they've given us, and that's out of 5 movies, and I'm gonna go ahead and say 3 TV shows because they did the last season of the Clone Wars. It's a shame. It's heartbreaking, but I'm not going to give up because I still have hope. Now, it may take another 5 to 10 years for it to bring it back to its former glory, depending on who's holding the reins at the time. But
I'm really hoping it's going to be somebody else.
Yeah, well,
it will be.
It's not going to get fixed because, well, even George Lucas said Disney Star Wars isn't Star Wars. So, what we're seeing now isn't Star Wars, just as the logo.
No, but I think George Lucas is trying to get the Star Wars brand back because Filoni and you know, and for like the Mandalorian, I think they know, like, yeah, we need to get sort of like more masculine action, because the Bad Batch, I'm liking that because that is like the A-Team, but with a little kid, with a little girl.
Well, I can debunk that one right away because I just saw a week or so ago interview with Favreau. They're going to tie the Mandalorian into the sequel trilogy, and we have Kathleen Kennedy and the story group saying on camera they're heavily involved with all the shows on Disney Plus.
Oh, of course she is.
Yeah, and then
yeah, but I think
you know what happened with Luke in The Last Jedi, how they destroy the character. That was Dave Filoni's idea, because there's an excerpt from a meeting in one of the sequel trilogy books that Disney released And Dave Filoni is the guy who suggested doing that to Luke.
Yeah, but he was paid to do it, and I don't think he was able to
No,
do
it
it.
wasn't. They were
Wait,
brainstorming
wait,
ideas.
wait a minute, Steve. Are you
Yeah.
talking about what they did to him in episode 8?
Yeah, that was Dave
Okay.
Filoni's idea. I have a
Yeah,
screenshot
but
of it too.
yeah, he was on Disney's pay books to do that sort of shit.
No,
Now he's on-
Filoni cannot be actually
Make Mandalorian.
trusted, because when he did the Clone Wars, he took everything that George Lucas said to do with the franchise, and he said to incorporate elements from the EU novels. Now, we'll preface it: the EU novels were great, as what they were. Granted, of course, there's certain things that George Lucas did in his movies that actually counteracted some of the stuff that was in the EU. But he still said that a lot of the EU was an amazing source to be able to draw stuff from, and that he considered it part of the greater Star Wars universe. Granted, he always said that his movies were top canon and they were the be-all, end-all, but he appreciated enough of the stuff that was in the EU to be able to use it in his movies.
Dave Filoni even got called out by Lucas's daughter on a panel when Filoni was trying to take credit for something he created, and Katie Lucas called him out right away. She said, "No, you got that from the EU," and he just sat there and going, "Well, but George," that's what he always does. Filoni is worse than Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, if you look at the Mandalorian, they have ships entering hyperspace within a planet's gravity. That makes the 6 movies pointless because it contradicts all the major plot points. You can't have Anakin would have never been found by Qui-Gon if they could make hyperspace jumps within the gravity.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
they would
Marby Dog makes a good point here, Steve. Star Wars is dead and the EU is now fan fiction. I mean, technically, yeah, that's exactly what they've turned it into at this point. But
the EU was George canon, and George Lucas said the Disney canon isn't Star Wars. He said that includes the Mandalorian and all of it. It's not Star Wars.
yeah, Soul
Disney had that interview though removed from YouTube right away for copyright issues, but the clip is still out there.
Yeah,
It was like within 3 days it vanished.
I want to get back to one comment that was left earlier when Son of Red says, "I feel the exact same way. Peter Jackson's films were very good, no doubt. But if you grew up with those animated ones, you can't help but have those closest to your heart." I know the book purists will actually disagree, but there was something unique and something special about that, because not every kid had the time to be able to read one of Tolkien's novels, and most of us probably at that point couldn't understand what he was saying in those novels anyway. I mean, he put a lot of his experiences from World War I in there, and I think a small child trying to read them probably was not going to be able to follow it as well as an adult could now. So the best thing that we had to be able to get a taste of what Tolkien's universe was like was through those cartoons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it would have been like, asking us, all of us here. I know we're all in our at least in our 40s. Asking us to read War and Peace as a 8, 9, 10-year-old. We couldn't have understood it, even if we tried. Some of it maybe, but not all of it. And Tolkien would have been the same thing. It was like, that's why I remember these cartoons like that, because it taught me a lot where books didn't. And that's why I'm not a big book person, because to me, sitting and reading something and try to use your imagination, which, yes, is a great thing. I'm not dogging that. But Oh yeah. But me, I was
in a future. I'm sorry, JJ. In a future episode, I do plan on talking about Thundercats. It's another one of those topics that I've never really hit on as hard as I wanted to. So yeah, I definitely want to go back over the old Thundercat stuff at some point.
Yeah. It's on Hulu right now.
Oh yeah, I know. I was rewatching it, talking about like taking it back and paying attention to the old stuff and watching it. So I'm sorry, JJ. Go back to what you were saying.
No. It's all good. As far as me as a kid, and even as a grown man today, I'm still not a book person. I can count on one hand in my life how many whole books I've read. I've always been the physical person. I got to put my hands on it. I got to be able to see it, hear it, experience it, not just read it. To me, reading is boring, which I know a lot of people get into it, and I'm not dogging nobody for it. But to me, it's just boring. I lost interest in school because it was boring.
Well,
It wasn't holding my
JJ,
attention.
You're in that same age group as me. Do you remember the comic book records?
Yes, I had a
Were
few
you
of
able
them.
to get, were you able to get into those a little bit? Because I mean that gave you both elements. It gave you something to look at. You could read along with the story if you chose to, or you could just look at the pictures. But you had the record giving you the story.
Mm-hmm. That it was something I could adapt to, but I didn't have many of them. Most time, as we say, as us now old men say today, won't you kids go outside and play, go do something. Um, if I had children of my own, I would have played that game with them. All right, whoever can go outside and stay the longest can play online for a couple hours. Make it a game to them. Make them go out and get some exercise and fresh air, and stop being cooped up inside of a room all day. There's so much more to life than just sitting in front of your TV doing whatever. But hey, you talking about going old school? That's me. I'm old school. I got to put my hands on it. I got to be able to experience it, not just read it. And that's with everything. All the movies and TV shows I enjoy.
Hey, JJ, did you do that too? Did you actually read the articles?
Tell me it's one of the articles. No. For a lot of years, I didn't even know there were articles to be read. I saw the words, but I could care less. Yeah. Like, who really reads the articles? Come on, let's be honest about that one for a moment.
Oh,
Okay.
Sentinel. Oh, that's a good one. Some of the old radio dramas, and a lot of people shit on those old radio dramas, but my mother had a very big collection of some of the old radio dramas on like a regular cassette. Like one of the ones in particular I used to love to listen to is she had the Shadow.
Yeah.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows. Those things were actually immensely good to listen to. They were amazing stories. And the fact that you could just sit there and listen to that as a radio program back at that time must have been pretty amazing. But I'm sure that was like one of those things like you'd seen something like A Christmas Story, where they would gather around the radio and listen to the show that was coming on. Me, myself, obviously not being that old, I didn't have that opportunity to listen to it on the radio, but I did get the chance to listen to it on audio cassette. So,
and for anybody that's interested in it, there's a channel on YouTube called Admiral Oliver Franklin Doom, and he passed away. Yes, rest in peace. He made it a point, and his videos were still being uploaded months after he passed away, of old radio dramas. If you enjoy those things, I suggest you go find those and check them out, because they were really, if you were in that sort of thing, they were really something to listen to.
Yeah, there was a James Bond radio drama done by this dude called I forget his name, Bob Summer, and later on in life he hosted a quiz show called Blockbusters, not to do with the video rental company. But he was the first James Bond.
I got another fake super chat here. JJ, would you mind reading this one?
Oh, seriously, you want me to read? Oh man, that's out of my contract.
I know.
From Ancient One, Super Chat. A shipment of fully plate armor specifically designed for cute fuzzy guinea pigs for Tommy the guinea pig, so he can prepare them for warfare. Call of Duty, Modern Pig Fair. Okay, got it.
Sounds like War Pigs.
Oh yeah, we could go that route
Yeah.
too.
You have the theme song right there.
I know.
Yep.
I just got to break out the old Ozzy Osbourne records. The old Black Sabbath. What was that? Black Sabbath? That was
Yeah.
Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Iron
But
Man.
when it comes to War Pigs, I prefer the Faith and More version of it better.
Well, that was the Oh God, what was that? That
You
was
know
like
what? War Pigs, isn't that kind of like Antifa? They all look
no,
like
no, no,
pigs.
no. Those are war whales.
Oh yeah.
No,
Which is why they're wailing all the time, right?
Exactly.
War Karens. There we go.
Yeah. I saw one of them was as big as a tank, so they're getting bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, we seen one going to a toy shop the other day. So yeah,
Oh yeah, that was the Mandalorian.
yeah, I loved that Steve. Oh my God, I loved that. That was so awesome. Full plate armor for guinea pigs does exist. Okay. I'm not going to ask to see it. I'll just take your word for it. I was going to go in a little bit different area tonight. To most that know me, I'm somewhat of a gamer. I'm nothing special. I'm no one any good. I just love to play because games are meant to be fun. And just going back, and Steve can corroborate a lot of this with me, and that's old school Star Wars games. Starting from the 2600, working its way through the ages up into the PlayStation and the Xbox. Most of those games to me were fun. Not all of them, but most of them. Back when I started playing them was Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back on NES, then the Super Star Wars series on Super NES. Then you start getting further along and say PS1, even the crap fighting game, Masters of Terrascasi. I own almost all them games without a way to play them. And I've been getting back around to being able to find them again and play them again. And who can forget the great two-parter, Knights of the Old Republic. Even though the second one wasn't as good as it should have been, but still, to me, they were great games. You had RPGs plus Star Wars in one place.
If you get it on PC, I think on GOG, the original developers have restored the cut content. You can install it as a mod. They all did it for free, so the fans will get would get the full game as it was intended. Okay. It includes a new planet that was cut from the game, and there's no more dead ends because that game had a lot of dead ends. Right, you could see the game had been rushed out. That's all gone now, so you can get the complete game.
Yeah, because even on the PC version back in the day, I used to cheat. I used to cheat, and no matter how you went, you always found these dead ends, and I'm like, okay, apparently there's no way around this.
No, it's because they had to. Lucasfilm forced them to rush the game out for Christmas, and it wasn't done. That's the reason.
Well, I mean, they almost had the same thing with Kenner when it came to the toys. They wanted Kenner to rush out the toys, and they said there was no way. If we want to do these right, we're going to have to take our time, and that's why they wound up with the early bird kit. Optic Racer, what's going on? And my Charles, what's up, buddy? You're always welcome to stop up. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
No, it's all cool. It's all cool.
I've
been. Yes. You talking about the original? I hope.
Yeah. I had it on the well, I didn't have it. I lent it off my mate who had it on the 64 because I was having to do all the time trials for him because you had to get like these power ups because if you tried to, because it was one where at first your ships was pretty crap, but once you got these sort of like power up sort of things like homing missiles and all that, then you could do the levels in the time it wanted you to do it in. And so like the mate had this playthrough sort of thing where it tell you, oh yeah, you need to go there on this level to collect your extra missiles and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, and real good game though. Like X-wing fighting was like real good.
Yeah, because I started playing once I had a computer that was able to play it. The X-wing series. Back during Windows 95, 98, the TIE Fighter series, X-wing Alliance, X-wing versus TIE Fighter. And then you started seeing Rogue Squadron and Shadows of the Empire and
Dark Force.
Dark Forces. That entire set. And even basically a rehash of Rogue Squadron. It was called Naboo Starfighter, I think that's what it was called.
Yeah, and you have Rebel Assault 1 and 2 as well.
Yes. I had Rebel Assault 2. I never had a chance to play 1. I still have that one. I've got all of the Dark Forces. I've got both the Knights of the Old Republic. I think the entire X-Wing set, TIE Fighter set, X-Wing versus X-Wing Alliance. Just still back. I love flying, and back then, if I could get in a TIE Fighter or an X-Wing, I was in heaven. I was content. And just and that's what when we got last year, when we got Star Wars Squadrons, I think it was last year. It was nothing but a very, very prettied up version of X-Wing.
Yeah, and it was dumbed down because he had removed all the, all the buttons you have to use on the keyboard, adjust the field and all that. It was just, and every damn character was either diversity tokens or LGBTQ tokens in it.
And they require you to get dumb shit that you don't need in your cockpit, like holograms and hanging souvenirs and stuff. Ain't no real pilot going to have no dumbness like that in their cockpit. Come on, give me some better weapons. Give me more stuff to make my starship my own instead of what they predestined for you. I would have loved to have been able to customize my own fighter. That would have been great. The way I would want it to look.
To be fair, you probably wouldn't get to do that, within canon because it's not your ship, right?
I understand that, but even Poe had his own black X-Wing, and I guess that was by his choice.
Well, we got somebody else joining us here to the stream, and he might want to be able to jump in on this one too. So let's welcome Slasher Splitter. What's going on, Slasher?
What's up?
Yes.
Let's go, bro.
How's everyone doing?
Yeah.
Just talking some old school stuff, man.
I can see.
Yeah. Your favorite subject? We're talking Star Wars, but
I
it's just video.
I can hear.
It's just video games, though.
Do you guys remember that one, Bounty Hunter?
I own it on the GameCube.
Was that one
You too? That's what I have mine on.
I've got the second and third Rogue Squadron and Bounty Hunter on GameCube.
Yeah, one where you was Boba Fett.
No, you were Django.
Oh, Django. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And even during the course of the campaign of the game is where you go through and you actually acquire what is now known as the Slave One. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my bad. Boba Fett Starship.
You know, Jango Fett's backstory is another thing Filoni stole. He gave it to the Mandalorian main character.
Yep.
It's straight from a comic. He just stole Jango's backstory and glued it onto the Mandalorian.
Son of a Red Shirt has something for us here. So, are any of you guys old enough to remember the Star Wars arcade classics, where you actually sat down at the consoles of an X-wing and with green wireframe graphics as you guide?
Oh yeah,
I remember that,
Yes.
but I remember
that. I remember there was actually. Oh, I'm sorry,
Use the
Slasher.
Force, Luke.
Go ahead, Slasher.
Oh no, that's what I used to see it in certain arcades, but I never actually played it.
I remember playing it. I remember the one that you actually sat down in, and I remember they also had a stand-up arcade unit as well. So,
Yep.
See,
Yeah,
I
but
I remember
the
seeing
stand-ups. Yeah, the stand-ups were more readily available. Only in the bigger arcades, the more well-known arcades, would you ever see a sit-down version of a game like that. But yeah, they were out there. And as a matter of fact, to this day, the Arcade 1-Up series, you can buy the Star Wars set of 3, which was Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi in one cabinet.
I seen that over at a GameStop, and I was like, "Wow, look at that thing!"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got a Star Wars game on emulator, PC emulator, because it's like really 8-bit it. Although it did have speech though, because if you remember when it you got going for like the bingo shot on the Death Star run, and you have Obi-Wan Kenobi going, "Use the Force, Luke."
Which system? What system was that for?
So it was the arcade.
Oh, it was arcade. Oh.
Yeah, but because it was like 8-bit sort of graphics and that, but yeah, so like any PC nowadays you can emulate all
the infamous Atari 8-bit wireframe, because they did more than just Star Wars with stuff like that. Me and Stig were talking about it before we went live. They did I'm not quite sure what the name of it is. I thought it was Red Baron, but apparently I may be mistaken. But you flew a biplane. You had Warzone, which you drove a tank. You had the Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. That infamous wireframe gaming.
Yeah. Because I had a system called the Vectrex.
The Vectrex, yeah, portable.
Yeah, which used the wire framing sort of thing.
Yeah, it came with its own like knockoff version of Asteroids. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh wow! I forgot about Asteroids, man. That's like, I think the first, wasn't it? Besides, the typical.
It's at least one of the first.
Yeah.
It was one of the. I mean, the very first arcade game I think they ever had was Pong, and that was like
Probably.
That was like in bars and stuff like that, I think. And
Well, no, I'm talking about as far as their wireframe gaming, because
for the wireframe,
because there was no real substance to Asteroids. You were this triangle and you're moving around shooting asteroids, and your bullets were little bright dots. It's just simple, but still beautiful nonetheless.
And I remember every time that
Wings
would go
of
out to
Fury?
I'm sorry, Steve.
I said, remember Wings of Fury?
Yes.
The World War II flying game. You saw it from the side, almost side-scrolling. You bombed islands and stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome too. I put a picture in the private chat for you, JD. Think about it.
Yeah. Just remember it
Oh, that looks cool.
on the road sculpture.
Yeah.
You
I
get
remember
the
that.
arcade games.
I never seen that one. That's good.
Imagine something similar to this, Steve, but just black it out, man. Make it wireframe, and that's the game I was talking about. Except you didn't get to see the pilot. You saw the crosshairs. You knew you were flying a plane. But if you died by the Red Baron, it showed bullet holes down diagonally down one side of the screen, and it was similar to this. But this looks like some good old school graphics right now that I would not have a problem playing.
No,
It's,
I don't know
it's
if I
called
said
Wings.
hi. I don't know if I said hi, but hey, Keck, how you doing? Good to see you, buddy.
Let's take a look. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had. That's pretty much all I had to talk about was good old school, games. But to me, along with the franchise that I still dearly love to this day, and Star Wars, they had a lot of great games and stuff. So, yeah, anybody else care to take it?
Yeah, well, I was just about to say, like Wings, that aeroplane game. I had that on the Amiga 500.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an Amiga classic. I think. I don't think it was made for PC. It was just on the Amiga. It had a remake a couple of years ago, though.
Right, yeah. Because the thing with that Wings game was if you got shot by the Red Baron and that, you would sometimes be able to like parachute, but sometimes you're just dead, and then like your record would stop. So if you had like 30 kills or whatever, then it ended at like 30 kills.
Yeah, your career was over. You were dead. It is a new one.
Yeah.
So here's one for us. Did anyone here have the incredible Sega Dreamcast?
I didn't have it, but I had friends I had a couple friends who had it. And,
I never played it, but I never owned it, but I played it. There we go. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Steve, private chat.
Got it, because it was going with Crazy Taxi, and everyone was like buzzing about Crazy Taxi.
I heard it's a great game. I never played it.
Oh yeah, it was all right. It was like basically a bit like a driving game sort of thing, but you'd have time to get your passenger from one position to wherever they wanted, and then
like the taxi missions in GTA games. Just that's
the
whole game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then like when you like run out of time, then that's what your score was. And I never saw anyone clock it, so I don't know if you just keep going with the missions.
Yeah,
Dreamcast came and went.
I was going to say, I remember the Dreamcast, but I remember it being so extremely short-lived. I mean, it had, at the time, when Dreamcast came out, it was far and beyond most of the other systems. But, of course, that carried with it a huge price tag, like we're starting to see with today's consoles, how ridiculously overpriced they are. I mean, that's just the way that all these consoles wound up going over time anyway. But the Dreamcast was the first one that was so overpriced that they overpriced themselves right out of the market. And that's why Sega and their consoles disappeared, is because they were so overpriced.
Yeah, and the pad, even though it was all right, like
it was weird.
Yeah, and people just because
wasn't the memory card like a gigapet or something?
Yeah, it had like a little LCD sort of graphic thing on it. But yeah, I think in Japan it was like that with the Xbox. The pads were too big for them, so it didn't sell well. I think
there were a lot of systems that I liked, but the controllers I didn't like. Like 64 had great games. I just didn't like the controller.
I actually liked the Nintendo 64 controller.
Yeah.
I was so used to, you know why? Because when I was younger, I had the Genesis. That was my go-to gaming system. Mm-hmm. So when I went from the Genesis to the 64, it wasn't that big of a changeover. And it's the same thing when I went to Xbox, because Xbox was actually a lot closer to the old Genesis.
The Genesis one, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Well, with the 64 pad and all, it was like fully analog, like 360-degree analog, and so it just made gaming so much like responsive.
Does anybody have any clue which game Son of a Red Shirt is talking about?
I don't remember the name of the
I'm blanking on
game,
that.
but as a wireframe, spider or crab type alien controlled the circumference.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Shapes.
Because was it like one? Well, like the
Oh, I know. I know the game he's talking about. It was probably designed sometime around the same time, if not a little bit later than Tempest, which was another wireframe game. But I remember it. It was a big spider web. You controlled a spider, but I can't remember the name of the game.
Yeah. I remember that game where you sort of like used to draw boxes, and when you used to draw the box, it used to show the picture, and there used to be like a sort of like porn one where there'd be naked sort of drawings of women.
Oh, you're talking about them bar top games, man.
Yeah, but it was like it was there was a spider though that would kill you, and you have to do like a square in that.
All right, I'm looking for it.
It's an old game.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
illustrating depth, and from the depths, little bugs or enemies would crawl up the side of the walls, and you had to shoot them down. Came with a fire button and spinning control, midi quarter spin. I mean, it sounds vaguely familiar, but I am drawing a blank.
Yeah, I'm looking right now.
I tell you what, Soul Assassin, some of those mini games that they've made are pretty phenomenal, especially the ones that allow you to take the old cartridges and use them.
Oh yeah, I have a Genesis Mini. There's a bunch of games built into it, but it has a cartridge slot.
Yep. Those are amazing. They did an original NES like that too, as well as a Super NES.
The one I saw of the NES was tiny though. It didn't look like you could put the cartridges in. Yeah, the Atari's joysticks are fragile as all fucking hell.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I went through so many of those Atari joysticks because they would just snap.
Well, you weren't supposed to be so rough with them, Slasher.
I was
Yeah, well, when you're playing your friends and you're talking shit to each other, you know, things get out of control.
Well, the ones we had over in the UK was like real hard. There was more like gear sticks. Like you have to really push them to get them up and down and that.
There were so many of those different type of games, and I remember even before the consoles came out that they had those little handhelds, and that was like all the rave for a long time before consoles really hit. Was all the mini handhelds.
Oh God, remember those Tiger ones?
I found the TMNT Tiger one.
Every single one of those was the same fucking games.
Yeah, Donkey Kong. I've still got Donkey Kong 3.
I'll just say like it controlled the exact same way.
Hey,
These pop up the same way.
Tommy, I found a video, and I'm not going to show most of it, but to get an idea if this is what he's talking about or not. If this is the one, I'm not even going to play the sounds. Is this it? Son of a Red Shirt? Now. Because I think I know which one he's talking about, but I don't believe this one's it.
So what do you have to do? You have to destroy all the lines? All the lines have to disappear?
It looks like a fancier version of Missile Command to me.
Yeah.
Like center, cross between
Centipede. Centipede.
But I don't believe that's it. But I'm still looking, but because I know the game I'm looking for, but no. I need
Soldier Boy
ninjas.
game console.
Yeah, there you go, Soldier Boy.
There you go. I tell you, I was actually shocked to find my dad's old Texas Instrument computer and gaming system. That was actually pretty. Like I did not think in an instant that thing would have survived the ravages of time, and plus the way my father piled everything in that damn house. But yeah, that thing came out. I mean, the entire box, both controllers, like all the games, like everything. Yeah, well, I mean, they were early gaming systems, though. I mean, the earliest like gaming system was probably the Pong, and that thing was horrendously bad.
Have you hooked them up there, see the way?
The handhelds, yeah, they were nothing but little like lines and dashes. Galaga was almost like Space Invaders.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I couldn't tell them apart. You know, you had Galaga and you had Galaxian.
And Galaxian was part 2.
Yeah, absolutely, Assassin. They were built to last. Do you guys remember those mini arcades? Like this is way before the days
Donkey
of
Kong and Frogger ones.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. I had Donkey Kong, and I think I had Pac-Man. My brother had Miss Pac-Man and Frogger, and
I knew someone who had a Frogger one.
Galaxia. He didn't have Galaga. He had Galaxia.
Galaxian.
Yeah.
Yeah, Galactic. You could get 2 ships going at the same time if you like.
You get one of them captured.
Yeah.
Get one of them captured.
Yeah. But it was dog cheap because if you shot your plane, then you'd lose that life.
You know, one of the games that I spent a lot of time. There was this game I used to go to. The one. It was like a deli I used to go to. It was called Zaxxon.
Yes.
I never played that one.
I did.
You piloted it like a space shuttle or something.
Yeah, and the fact that you had to figure what was up and down and left and right because you just couldn't play the game. You know, up wasn't up and down wasn't down. You had to fly it just like a real aircraft, so to speak. And I never could play that game early on. It was just difficult. It's like my depth perception was off with it because it went kind of like Return of the Jedi did. Kind of like an angular left to right. But yeah, I played it. But I sucked at it.
I used to wait. Yeah, another one I used to waste a lot of quarters on was Robotron.
Yeah.
See, Robotron's one I never got to play till I was an adult. I went to this place called Barcade. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a bar that has old school arcade games in it. And they had Robotron there, and I was like, I have never ever seen this anywhere in my fucking neighborhood back when I was a kid.
I used to spend a lot of coins on Super Sprint and Double Dragon. I remember.
Oh, I spent a lot of coins.
Dude, off-road.
Oh yeah, off-road was awesome.
I'm pretty sure we all played that karate tournament one.
Which one? Karate Champ? Karate
No.
Champ?
Karate Champ.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, what we called it. It was called
Karateka? There was another one called Karateka.
Arcade karate or something like that.
How about there was a side scroller that used to be available in the arcades? It was another one that I used to love to play when I used to go to when I used to go to Asbury Park, because Asbury Park had all the games there. They had what was called the Palace Casino, and they had all these arcade games in there. It was amazing how many they had. And one of the games that I used to like to play, besides Sinistar, I love Sinistar. I used to play this one. It was called Kung Fu.
Yeah, Kung Fu Master.
It was a side scroller. Yeah.
I actually have that.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean the one where you have to go up floor by floor and you have to?
Yes.
Yeah. I did a
Yeah,
video
it's-
on that a couple months ago.
Yeah, yes, Ye Are Kung Fu.
No, that was
No.
different. ER Kung Fu
No.
was different.
This was just called Kung Fu.
Well, the arcade was Kung Fu Master.
Yeah.
Primal
Mm.
Rage.
And then when they put it on NES, they just dropped Master. It was just Kung Fu.
Yeah, one of the reasons I like Kung Fu so much is because the main character's name was Tommy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I tell you with that Kung Fu Master, it was like a bit dodgy when them balls that just fire like.
I hated that fucking floor.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was like.
And the mini
Yeah.
dragons,
Yeah.
that come running at you and shit.
Like one of them balls would be hovering, ready to bear, sort of thing, and like there'd be a dude behind you, coming to stab you, and so you keep the dude, and by the time you keep the dude, that ball will bear you. Oh.
Then you get hit with
Yeah.
shrapnel.
Yeah. Well, the thing was you were supposed to every time you saw them, just kick them as soon as you would, so you get rid of them, and then you didn't have to worry about the shrapnel going. But
You know, Soul Assassin, I vaguely remember this one.
Yeah.
The only one that I remember from a sports crossover is when they did Punch Out with Mike Tyson.
Love that game.
I figured out how to beat that thing, and I would do it over and over again.
I
Because
never beat it.
all you had to do was count. You just had to count when he threw. It was like three seconds or something like that, and then he would go into the uppercut thing. You just had to go left, right.
I was
And
also
you-
never even able to
About
make it up
right.
to Tyson. I couldn't make it up to him without using the codes. I never liked to use the code anyway.
No, it was all timing. All you had to do was figure out the timing because every single character on there,
They
it
have
was a
tells.
time. It was a timer.
Every
It
single
was
one
a
of them
timer.
have tells. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I sucked at Punch Out.
Game question again. I apologize. I'm 5 minutes behind you guys, and I'm just trying to tap it up. The name Tempest really squeezed the old member berries. There was another game, and I'm failing to remember what it's called, and it's really got me. It's kind of haunting my memory a little bit. But there was a handheld that my father had, and it was similar to Tempest, where you had like this figure at the top of these, the lines coming down, like you were saying, the spider web lines. What were you calling them earlier? God, well, I'm blanking on that already.
Vector lines?
Yeah, for the game. When you were talking about
Wireframe.
wireframing.
Huh.
So this had wireframing going down to a center point, and it was straight wireframes going around the whole game. And your like ship or whatever it was went on the outside of the wireframe, and it was shooting to the middle as these things would come out. And you would basically, all you would do is you would circle around it and shoot, and that's all the game was. But the one I had was a handheld, and I am failing to remember what it was called because I found it in the stuff over my father's house, and not only did I find the game intact, but I found the original box with it too. And I am completely blanking on what the name of that game is called.
I had a game like that. It was called Firefox, but I don't know if it'd be called that in America.
Well, they did make, believe it or not, they did make a one of the earlier versions of integrating, say, movie scenes into games. Slasher. We just did Firefox, the movie.
Yeah.
They actually made an arcade game of it.
Yeah, Optic Racer. We actually we briefly mentioned that earlier. That's part of the arcade one-ups. They're the ones that actually brought those back because a lot of the early '80 ones that came out, that's what they first started doing. Arcade one-up was doing the little miniatures again, and then they started making them bigger and bigger to the point where you got the ones now. They're like, what are they? They're like almost, well, with the riser, they're almost 5 feet tall, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They're about as close to an arcade cabinet as you can get.
If at any point you're interested in finding out about some of these arcade one-up cabinets, go over and watch 19K Fox. He talks about those things all the time. He does breakdowns on them of which ones are worth getting, which ones aren't worth getting, how much money you could wind up spending if you want to spice up your cabinet and really make it unique. Yeah, definitely check out 19K Fox if you want to find out more about the arcade one-ups. He does incredible breakdowns on them.
I think you can just get like a normal PC or whatever, and just get sort of like the cabinet, and then, but then it is fucking around in it, sort of putting the PC and the screen, all that sort of shit into the cabinet. But 'cause that's all we are though. Is just basically PCs, aren't they? With in a cabinet.
Raspberry Pis. Pretty much, you know, it has all these retro games on them. Chris Knight has 2 of them. He was showing them off yesterday.
I had one, but it needs fixing.
Yes, Son of a Richard. We did mention that one.
International Karate Plus. That's what it was called.
Yeah, which was actually a remake of Way of the Exploding Fist.
Yeah,
It's the same game, really.
yeah. Apart from
Played it a lot. With
Thank you.
friends.
yeah. Do you remember the RoboCop arcade that came out with the film?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the old.
It came out with by a company called Data East.
Data East. Data
Yep.
East.
Yeah.
I used to be able to put a quarter in and beat the entire game on 1 quarter.
Made the NES one.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Oh, Golden Axe. That was a classic game.
Golden
Golden Axe.
I like
Gauntlet.
Gauntlet was the shit. I loved Gauntlet.
It was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game and all, where there was like 4-player. That was because like I remember when I think that was the first game I ever saw. Or was it the Quest? Okay, but there was one where it was like just 2 players, wasn't it? And then the 4-player came out. It was like, wow.
The hell is this?
But there was real big though. One. Yeah.
I've always known this game as YR Kung Fu.
No, Ye Are Kung Fu is a different game. It's,
that was just Kung Fu.
one-on-one fighting. It's like
Because you fought Paul, Nunchucker, Fan, and Blue, I think it was called. That it was like the same as you.
But
Ye
Are Kung Fu. You just go through one-on-one fights.
Yeah, because my mate one time when we was like young and that, because it was on the Amstrad and that, and he was playing against Nunchucker, and he got him down to like 1 life. But then like Nunchucker had like a crazy thing where he could kick ass real easy with his nunchuckers, and he kicked my mate's ass so bad and that like he just went, ooh, got real mad that he was gonna smash my computer. But he realised that it was my computer, and if he just smashed it, he'd have to give me his computer to replace it, so he didn't. But a real funny house, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Okay, I remember this one now. Okay. I always thought they were the same thing. Yes. Oh yes, I remember the YR Kung Fu now. Okay. Yeah. All right. My bad. I had to look it up. I'm like, and then I see the picture of it. I'm like, oh shit! I totally forgot about this game.
Yeah, both had Kung Fu in the name, so it's one.
Yeah. 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 Okay, I got you now.
Yeah, some of those early games, though, I mean, if you look at them now, obviously they look extremely dated, but yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people miss out that at the time that those games were incredible for graphics. Like the first time GTA San Andreas came out, the graphics for that were astounding at the time. There was nothing like it. It was so good. I mean, you look at it now, it looks extremely dated to the graphics that you see on a lot of these games. But I mean, you go back even further, some of these older games we're talking about, some of them though, they kind of hold up though, which is I think is quite hilarious considering how far graphics have improved. Some of those older games do still hold up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look what they did when they went with Minecraft. They went backwards. Same thing with the other game, Terraria, that Minecraft, Mojang. They wound up buying them out, and then, of course, we know that Minecraft got bought out by Microsoft. But it's the same thing. They went back to those blocky formats that those older games had.
And to me, that's not current day gaming. To me, that's like a 3D Atari 2600. It's not entertaining.
Well, you remember when they was doing sort of like live action motion sort of gaming, where they did that gun game like Sasha knows the game because we was looking at it one time because it was on the Wii. Well, that was like where you're like a cowboy and that, and you.
Oh yeah.
Mad Dog McCree.
Mad Dog McCree. Yeah.
Yeah, Mad Dog McCree.
It's called an FMV game.
Yeah, real good.
And I think real quick, I think Curtis does make a good point there. I love the old games, but don't try to recreate them. I mean, hey, that is something I think they do a little bit too much now. Why? Because they've run out of ideas, and they're trying to recapture that magic. Miss Martin, welcome back. Good to see you again. Always a pleasure to have you here.
Because I remember a game where it was like in a like little dome thing where it was like 3D hologram graphics, and it was real expensive. And like I don't know like how expensive it was to repair it if I went wrong with it. So I remember having it in like the late 90s, early 2000s sort of time. You know, when like they was trying to really get like people back into arcades. So there was doing like, yeah, and it was like real good and all. Like it was proper like seeing like off Star Wars where you had that chess game with the monsters. It was sort of as good as that sort of 3D sort of thing in like a little dome thing. I forget what the game was called.
Well, since we're on these older games, I want to go around the panel. And you know what? Everybody in the chat, go ahead and list your favorite game. What is one of your favorite games from back then? Not like your favorite game of all time up to modern times. I'm talking about what was your favorite game back when you were a kid? JJ, we'll start with you.
Well, when you say kid, that's kind of narrowing it down a little. It's not narrowing it down. Because
say up to 1990 for you.
Up to 1990 would have to be at the time would have been all three the Super Star Wars series for the NES, Super NES.
Those games are awesome.
Steve?
The Last Ninja for the Commodore 64. I think it was the highest selling game for that console, I think. Kind of like it's an action adventure game. Awesome. I guess the first Monkey Island game that Lucasfilm made is a point-and-click adventure game for the PC. Ultima 7, which is a very advanced RPG for its time, also for the PC.
Jens.
Well, it was on the Amstrad 64. It was called Renegade, and there was an arcade of it, but I used to play it on the Amstrad 64 because you used to have like 3 buttons on it because you use the joystick as like your controller, so like up, down, left, right, and then you'd have like 3 buttons on the keyboard. One was to jump, one was to punch left, and one was to punch right, sort of thing. And if you press 2 together, it'd do a flying kick in that. But I never completed it though, because when you get to the last level, this dude, the boss, had a gun, and he'd shoot you once, and you was dead. And so I got to the last level once or twice when I was like older and that, but I could never fucking complete it.
Hey, real quick, Jens, is this the game? Tell me if you don't mind.
No.
That's
No.
Sega's first holographic game.
Yeah, no, but it did look a bit like it, but no,
Hang on, let
it
me.
had like people in it, sort of like.
Yeah, that was their. I remember playing this game at least twice, and it wasn't easy. But it was the first
Yeah.
holographic game I ever seen.
Right. Well, the one I saw, it was a bit like Space Ace and that, you know, and
Oh, it's Space Ace and Dragon's Lair.
yeah. It was a bit like that.
That was
Well,
fully animated.
Yeah. But it was a bit like that, as in, you know, it was that sort of like where you'd have to push up and down or left or right or fire at a certain point. It was one of them games, but it had like real life people instead of like with there was like cartoon drawings, weren't they?
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
All right, Slasher, what would you say?
I don't have one particular favorite. See, I could even still like name Atari games that I like. I'm still capable of playing an Atari 2600. Sure, I'll laugh at the graphics, but the game is fun enough.
Oh, gameplay.
There had to be one game that you probably spent more time on than any of the other ones.
It'd be a wrestling game. I bet,
well, no. When I first got NES, I had ended up borrowing games and renting games more than buying games. But the first game that I actually bought was Life Force.
Oh yeah, Konami.
Yeah, it was Gradius, but you know, it had awesome fucking graphics. It had the Contra code. The music was really good. I used to play it like back to back at certain times, beating it. Like I'd beat it, and then the game would just restart, and you'd still have the amount of lives you had from when you beat the game. I spent a lot of time on Life Force. I mean, I spent a lot of time on a lot of NES games, but Life Force was probably my first favorite NES game.
Okay. And Tim Possible, hey, what's going on, man? Thank you for showing up. I appreciate you coming here. I would say for me, I mean, there's a lot of games that stand out, and I want to get to some of the people in the chat and what they've said. But one of the games that always stood out to me, and this fell right before, 2000s, I would say would probably be WCW Revenge.
Oh, 64?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those WCW games were cool.
I love that game because that was one of the first games where you had a wrestling game where you could actually create your own characters, because the earlier ones you couldn't do that. It was whatever was generically put in the game.
Yeah.
That's all you could play with. That was the first one that gave you the ability to create your own characters. And I really liked that about that game.
What else was cool about it was that you could give like current existing guys you could put an NWO
changeovers. Yep.
You could put an NWO T-shirt on anybody in that game. That's what I thought was cool about that.
All right, let's check out what some of the people in the chat were saying. Soul Assassin says Banjo-Kazooie for the N64.
Never played it.
Curtis YZ, Doom, and Duke Nukem.
Duke Nukem, yes.
Hail to the king.
Soul Assassin also says Turok 2, Seeds of Evil.
Hey, Tommy, I just had an idea.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do like retro gaming streams, you know what would be fun? If you had like the whole panel play one game from 1980 and do that an episode, right? So talk about the game you played this week.
I could definitely
do
host
81
this.
next week and then 82.
I could host one and everybody else could play, but I don't have a camera yet.
Yeah,
no, you don't. You don't have to film it. Just talk about it. Which game.
Play it and give our review on it.
Yeah, basically, pick a game from 81, and then you'll have a stream, right? Because everyone will be talking about the game they played.
We could definitely do that.
Turok, though, that was a good game. I like that.
Shinobi. I seem to recall that game.
And even the chat can chime in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I own the original Shinobi.
Oh yeah, here's another good one. My avatar, Shadow Dancer.
Yeah,
Shadow Dancer is probably
that
one
was
of my-
Shinobi 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Ocarina of Time. I'm unfamiliar with that one. Is that?
Yeah, where you had like a little mouth organ and you used to have to play tunes on it to go in and out of realms, I think.
Black Knight pinball game.
Huh.
Yeah, Turok remastered.
Yeah,
was
game,
well
though.
done.
Yeah, the thing I liked about Turok is you had an arrow and you'd like fire an arrow into someone's, into a dinosaur's head to take it out.
Zelda.
I never was a big Zelda fan.
Okay, so that was part of the Zelda franchise. Okay.
Son of a Red Shirt. No, it had nothing to do with a movie. It was a continuation of Gradius.
No, actually, Life Force was meant to be after the movie Life Force.
Yeah, but
they
game
copied Gradius.
had nothing to do with the movie. It wasn't
No.
even. It was called Salamander. Just when they put it out on NES, they called it Life Force.
Yeah, some of those old games. I mean, you could still get back into them. Some of the other ones were so bad back then that I don't think I wouldn't even entertain the idea of going back and playing some of them again. Like especially some of those like old football games, the handheld football games. I can't even look at those things anymore.
Hey Tommy, would you ever try to play ET for the 2600?
You know what's funny? When I brought all those things home, that ET game was brand new in a box. It's actually in one of the crates in the back. So, you know which one I used to enjoy, and I still cannot remember which system it was on because I can't remember. I want to say it was the original NES. They had a Punisher game.
Yeah, it was like a third person shooter, right?
Yes.
LJN.
Yes.
Yeah, I got that for Christmas one year.
But there was like a few sections in it where you actually seen like his back and the back of his head.
Yeah.
There was like a few small segments. I think they were the boss battles when you actually seen him like that.
Well, you see him the whole game. But there are certain points where you get up to bosses and they get right in your face and you don't shoot them. You start throwing punches and kicks.
Yes.
I beat that game a lot too. When I would get a game, I would run it into the ground till well, there are certain games I ended up buying that I didn't beat.
I never beat Chaikin for Genesis.
I have that on the Mini. I just tried to play it. I don't know what the fuck to do. I don't know where to go past that first door.
Impossible says GoldenEye. I had friends that used to play GoldenEye, and they used to play it to death.
Yeah, I made that game in 6 months. I hammered it so much. I was doing the cheats codes and that where you'd have to do certain levels in a certain time, and there's only 2 cheats that I couldn't do.
So this is another overlooked system, the Turbo Graphics.
Yep. You know, my brother loved Splatterhouse.
Yeah.
He didn't have a chance to play it on TurboGrafx. He played it much later on when it
Genesis.
was
When it was
put
on
on Genesis. Yeah,
I loved the R-Type.
He loved
R-Type
it.
was
Yeah,
awesome.
R-Type was awesome.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There was another one for TurboGrafx called Ninja Spirit. Anyone ever play that one?
Yeah.
Great fucking game.
Son of Red Shirt has a question for everybody. Question for the panel in the chat. What is everyone's favorite video game to movie translation? Oh God.
GoldenEye.
I'll go with NES Batman.
Well,
Well, there has to be,
I don't think those would be proper answers because he's actually saying favorite video game to movie.
Oh, I thought it was a movie to video game.
No.
Oh God, there's so many bad ones.
I'm gonna vote for Prince of Persia. While it was a bad adaptation, it was still a fun movie.
Yeah, I seen it. I seen that one. Yeah, I'd have to agree with him on that one.
This,
Because next to that is the original Mortal Kombat.
I'll say definitely not Street Fighter.
That was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. You figure with Jean-Claude Van Damme, it would have been a lot better, but it really wasn't.
Nope. It was horrendous.
I'd say it was as bad as Super Mario Brothers.
I would say, yeah, you know what? I might agree with Soul Assassin on that one. I would say like the early Mortal Kombat one. Now, if you're talking up to date, I've not watched it, but Bone, my daughter would completely agree with you.
You know what?
That
It was all
probably
right.
the best.
It actually wasn't bad.
Sonic.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that I didn't
I
hate
think
that movie.
Sonic's going to have it. Yeah, that was his last film ever.
What a shame, right?
I know. Freaking Gomez.
Street Fighter is his last ever movie. Oh, Hitman! I never saw Hitman.
I've
yeah.
never seen that either. You know, I've never watched that Assassin's Creed either.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that too.
How bad is that?
I didn't see it.
Oh.
Because that's
Legion
right
of
there at
Super
one
Harry.
point. At one point, they were doing that for everything, right? Blood Rain.
That was the thing at the time. Everything was like changing video games over into movies, and
Dead or
when
Alive.
they played that to death. That's when they switched over and they started going after comic books.
Yeah, because it was failing horribly.
Double Dragon.
Oh, God.
I almost forgot all about that one. It's
They
so
made a
bad.
Double Dragon movie that I didn't want to see. That's amazing.
I'm surprised they didn't make a Dragon's Lair movie.
Yeah, good point.
Or
How
Space
come-
Age.
How come they never made a Mega Man movie?
You know, people
Oh.
were asking for it. A lot of people were asking for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What would they do though? What would they do? Would it be live action? Would they
I
try
would-
to? They
I would
try to
hope.
hire some kid to play Mega Man?
I wouldn't attempt it because it'd be great controversy on who would play Tails, a male or a female.
Okay.
They're doing it
Steve-
number 2, though.
hold on a second, everybody. Stieg actually has to pop off. So,
Yeah,
Stieg, I mean, I know you
office
don't
chair
like.
is murder on my back.
Yeah, I know, buddy. I feel you. My spine starts hurting after a while. So, but everybody in the chat, if you haven't stopped by, make sure you stop by Steve's channel. Check out one of his top buys. I guarantee you will be in stitches. He also does a lot of other short videos on older commercials and everything that are a lot of fun to watch. So make sure to give him a watch. Go by, stop by, and sub to his channel because he loves it.
No, but yeah, you know, subs to everyone on the panel. You know, I'm not looking for subs or views or anything. I'm not a YouTuber, but I do have a YouTube profile with shit on it. So if you like retro commercials or whatever, there's a lot of stuff like that there, and a lot of politically incorrect commercials. Quite a few of those.
I know that
But,
some of those
Oh,
are just
Steve.
hilarious
Still
to look
is-
back at again.
Still insisting you're not a YouTuber, man.
Yep.
How wrong
I'm
you could
a
ever be.
panelist, not a YouTuber. I don't like doing the work at all. I'm lazy. But thank you all for having me on, though, and for being great company, and to the chat as well. This was a lot of fun.
Always
Great seeing
welcome, Steve. Always
Take care
welcome.
and be well.
Stick.
All right, take care.
Take care, love. Yeah.
Good night.
Later, man.
Be well.
No, yeah.
So, Soul Assassin said, wasn't there a Dragon Slayer film in the works? I do think I recall hearing something about that a long time ago, but I think it just it disappeared. There wasn't enough interest for it.
Wasn't there a Saturday morning cartoon back in the day?
Yes, there was.
That and Space Ace.
Yeah.
And the Dragon Slayer cartoon actually gave rise to the video game because they took a lot of the animation from the cartoon and used it in the
It
video
was Don Bluth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Space Ace.
No, that was Space Coast.
Of the game, I'm trying to go Space Ace.
Well, I played the crap out of Dragon's Lair. I didn't play Space Ace too much because it was not as readily found as Dragon's Lair was.
Yeah, I played it on the Amiga, but I think it was about 4 or 5 discs.
Oh wow!
There's a god awful version of Dragon's Lair for the NES.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah,
It is nothing like the fucking regular game.
They couldn't pack anything into
No.
those small systems. So I mean, that was the problem with a lot of those early systems. They tried to translate a lot of those arcades over into those smaller consoles, and
It didn't always work.
didn't work. No, it did not work. They didn't have the technology to actually put those high quality games into such a small system.
There were some good ones though.
Didn't they re-release Dragon's Lair on the Sega CD?
God,
You know
was
what?
it
They
Sega
probably-
CD
they
or
might have.
Sega. It was either Sega CD or maybe Sega Saturn. It was one of the two. I
They
forget
might
which
have.
one it was.
A lot of those Sega CD games sucked because it's not even like you're playing the game. You just press a button and you watch a fucking video. You do the same thing over and over again.
yeah, it was timing. Telling what to do when.
Well, I mean, that became a big thing for a lot of people. They wanted a game that was more like a story, and then unfortunately, it gave rise to a whole lot of bad games.
Well, all right. There was a Sega CD. It was a football game called Cowboys versus 49ers. You could either only pick the Cowboys or the fucking 49ers. You press a button.
Okay,
Like,
it was on
to pick your-
Sega CD.
You press a button to pick your play, and you don't play the play. It just picks a random old highlight from an old Cowboys and 49ers game, and that's the play, and that's the whole game. It just randomly picks these plays for you.
Yeah, management
Wow.
games.
Oh, NBA Jam was awesome.
You know, another
NBA
game I
Jam.
really enjoyed, and JJ might remember this one because if he had the Nintendo GameCube, he might remember Def Jam.
Oh, Vendetta.
Yeah, the fighting
Yeah,
game.
that was on a couple different systems, right?
I remember it, but I never owned it.
Oh, really? That was absolutely hilarious. That was such a good game.
Couldn't you like fight as rappers? Like
Yes,
you could
yes,
DMX,
that was the whole
DMX
thing.
is like the choosable character.
Yeah, they had DMX in it. They had Mr. Scarface in it. Oh God, who else did they have in it? God, it was so long ago. Somewhere in my stuff, I still have that game.
Did you ever, Tommy? Did you ever see the? It was like a Grand Theft type game, but you're 50 Cent.
I
What?
do recall seeing it. I've never played it. I do recall.
Yeah. 50 Cent is the main character in the game. And he's like running around shooting everybody and shit.
Hey, master of the TDS, what's going on? Welcome.
Hello.
Yeah,
There were so many games.
Blood
that
in the
they had
Sand
like
or
that.
something. It's called Blood in the Sand.
Yeah, but they were taking a lot of the same ideas from the other games, and then they were just
Yeah.
installing somebody who was famous on it, and then they were cashing in. You can't really
Yeah.
blame them because it was going to sell regardless. Because if you put somebody's name on there as famous, I mean, I think like Def Jam was one of those games that had all these different rappers in it, and there were so many faces on that that I was actually surprised that wasn't like a humongous hit.
I never played any of them.
They even gave a disc, a small like CD with some of the music. Not necessarily that was in the game. Some of it was, but they gave you a small disc of like sample of the different rappers that were like part of the game in one shape, some shape or form. And I thought that was really cool too. I played the holy shit out of that game. Holy crap! That I burned.
They didn't make more than one of them. I thought they made a couple of them.
I only remember the one, but they might have made a couple of them.
I never played them. My friends played them, but I never played them.
Well, you got to remember when like the games like that came out for the Nintendo GameCube. The GameCube was already on its way out because they were so far behind Xbox and PlayStation. So, I mean, that was the number one mistake Nintendo made is they didn't innovate like they used to do when they first came up. They were so innovative at first, and then somewhere along the line they got complacent and they let all the other companies just pass them by. I mean, shit, even the Atari Jaguar was doing better than them at one point, which didn't last very long.
I played the
Atari Jaguar disappeared.
I played the Jaguar. Wolfenstein. There was a good version of Wolfenstein on it.
You know what? I think 50 Cent was in that Def Jam game too.
Talk about GameCube games, though. I loved Monkey Ball. Don't know if anyone.
Monkey Ball?
Yeah. It was, you know them sort of like hamster balls that you put a hamster in?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like that, but it was a monkey instead of a hamster. But you had to go on this course, and at first it was really easy because there wouldn't be that many obstacles, and the paths would be quite wide. But the harder it got, the thinner the paths got, and the more sort of like obstacles and sort of like that things where you had to like get enough speed to fly off. So,
I'm sorry, Jens. You say monkey balls. I'm thinking of something completely different.
yeah. Well, that's what it was called. They've done a few there, but it was real good on the GameCube because 64 used the analog stick real good, but it was real shit on the PlayStation. I think it was PlayStation 2 came out on. It could be on the PlayStation 3 and all because analog all that good.
Yeah, I fell in love with the game on the PS1, man. It was 4 discs long. It was Wing Commander 3, The Heart of the Tiger. It had live action full motion video in it. Mark Hamill played the star character in it. Even had a former porn star as your chief mechanic. So I thought that was pretty good. And they did a fourth one. I think it was called The Price of Freedom. Wing Commander 4, The Price of Freedom, I think it was. I kind of like those also. I like flying. It's just, I like flight sims, most of them.
Yeah, I like the flight sims and that. Because, yeah, there was a few flying games and that. Where you could do battles and that.
You got his attention, JJ.
I had a game. Talk about Polestar, though. You Americans don't have a page 3 models, do you? Which is basically just a lass with the tits out in the page 3 of a paper. But in Britain, we did.
If I remember her name correctly, Soul Assassin, I think her name was Ginger Lynn Allen, blonde hair. She was actually your mechanic in this game.
I had a game though called Samantha Fox Strip Poker, and it was on the Amstrad.
Oh, Jesus. That's Samantha Fox?
Yeah, the one that tried to be a singer. Yeah.
Yeah. Touch Me. It was called. But I did real shit when I was a kid because I didn't know how to play poker. But once I got a bit older in that, and I know how to play poker, I won it in that. Like, got to strip off.
I remember that, like, my mother used to bring back some of these games because she used to work as a, what was it called? She used to be like a word processor. She used to work for this Department of Health for New Jersey, and she used to get all these different computer games. I mean, apparently in her off time, they would look for computer games to bring home. And she brought home a few of these strip poker games for the old PC on the floppy disks. Some of those things were absolutely hilarious to see these like pixelated girls that would strip down when you're playing poker with them.
Yeah.
They were so cheesy, but they were just so damn fun to play because they were so ridiculous.
I
remember those.
Did you ever see the porno Atari games, Tommy?
No.
What?
Yeah, it's around the time where Atari was like spiraling downward, and there were a bunch of companies making unlicensed games, and some sick motherfuckers out there decided to make some porno Atari 2600 games. Oh yeah, the graphics were top notch.
Oh, I could imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you. My back is starting to give up on me. I think I'm drawn to the end. I wanted to actually go a little bit longer, but I just don't think I can right now.
Well, it's your first time back, first night back. Don't try to blow your entire load this go around. You got plenty more coming.
I know, right? I don't have enough Kleenex for that. Gonna have to stock up. Run out to BJ's tomorrow and pick up some Kleenex.
Now we know where all the TP's going. All right.
I want to thank all of you for being on the panel tonight. This has been a really awesome discussion for the first time back. As we move forward, we'll probably be able to come up with a few more like really crazy ideas to really get the panel going. Like maybe do a game night like Steeg suggested. Maybe we'll even have a couple nights where we do a lot of like movie talks. We'll just talk about a lot of old movies or a lot of old shows. Of course, everybody that's in the chat, if there's something that you want to see, be sure to leave a comment on the live stream. I'm going to leave it up. So if you want to just drop back in, just leave a comment on there or something you'd like to see us talk about in a future episode of Retro Discussions. Or if you decide that you might want to come up and have a go at it and talk about something that you love from your childhood, be sure to hit me up and let me know. You can also follow me over on Twitter under Ratty Rackinson, and you can hit me up with your ideas at any time or if you want to be a guest on the show. I really do appreciate all of you that have stopped by in the chat tonight. Ancient One, thank you for throwing those links out there, as well as Keck44, Curtis YZ, Soul Assassin, Chaos Hoy. I remember Tim Possible was here, Fenrir Fire, Bone, Miss Martin was here, Master of the TDS, Son of Red Shirt. Thank you all for coming by. If I missed anybody else, it's because my chat is not going to scroll up that high. Will Gentry, I remember he was here also. Thank you all so much for coming out. You've really made this return episode special for me, and I really do appreciate it. And I can't wait to get going with this and get into a lot more discussions. And we'll eventually have a lot more panelists coming up talking about all the things that they love from the past and why they're so important for us to pay attention to. Because if we pay attention to the older stuff, we'll know why we're fighting for it today. So as we're going to exit out, I am actually going to do something a little bit odd, and I'm going to play my intro as we exit out of this one. So any last words, everybody, what you're doing? JJ, we'll start with you.
Normally I'll be doing a live stream tonight, but I got prior engagements for tomorrow, so I won't be doing it tonight. Tomorrow night over on Chaos Central and Bigger Ford Entertainment, I'll be doing the Chaos list. Wednesday night, me and Slasher McSplitter will be doing another random movie review. This will be number 8. We're going to be doing Emilio Estevez's Judgment Night, and that'll be at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. That time. 10. Damn, Tommy, you fucked me up.
You can get it out. You can do it. We believe in you.
Anyway, 10 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday night. And sometimes you'll find me over on Chris Knight's channel on on Thursdays for the Rumble, either as a contestant or as a combatant, as I like to say. Or sometimes I'll change it up and come in as a wild card or a mystery judge. And Tommy, welcome back. It's been a long time coming. I wouldn't have missed this for the world, man. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for being here. Jens, let everybody know where you're at and what you got coming up.
Yeah, cheers. So, might be doing on a stream soon. Don't know when and that, but I've got my channel and Jens Ped, and I'm on Twitter at 27A Jens Pedersen. Yeah. I haven't got anything planned, but yeah, I've got loads of stuff on my channel anyway, so yeah, if anyone wants to check it out on that.
Awesome. Slasher, let everybody know where you're at and what you got going on. And I know Slasher's probably going to keep it short again, like he always does.
Yeah. I'm on here on Twitter. Thanks for having me, Tommy.
It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Good to see you back, man.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
I'll go a little bit more in depth. Next coming weeks, me and JJ might be doing 2 movies a week if we keep canceling on each other like we have before. But yeah, we do random movie reviews Wednesdays and if not Saturdays, right, JJ?
Yeah. If something happens where we can't pull it off, if it's not Wednesday, it's usually Saturday night. But the time don't change; it's still at 10 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, we got movies lined up for the next little over 2 months.
We got movies at the wazoo.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I know Ancient One was saying about doing a guinea pig raid. Ancient One, if you could find a channel that's going right now that you would like to try to send everybody over to, make sure you drop it in the chat right now. And if everybody would be so kind, if you do go over to said live stream, make sure you put in hashtag guinea pig raid so they know we sent you over there. So as we end this one, we will hopefully see you all again next week. It's going to be at the same time every Monday. Will be 6 p.m. And you never know who's going to wind up joining us on the panel. So remember, never let anybody tell you what you can and can't say, what you should or should not watch, because your silence gives consent. Take care of you all.